We have saturated markets. We have digitalization everywhere. AI is coming. We have hyper competitive markets where you are not selling just to the US if you're in the US or in Germany if you're in Germany. You are selling internationally and competing internationally, which means there is always a bigger fish in the pond and there is always somebody undercutting your price. Now, most sales methodologies do not account for that.
I'm joined by Sebastian Hidalgo, VP of Sales at Durindal. Sebastian, thank you so much for being here with me.
Tracy, it was great to receive your invitation to be on the show. And yes, I'm grateful to be here. I didn't even start as a salesperson. So the fact that I'm here today talking about sales is something that younger me would have been flabbergasted about.
Well, I also am, I think younger me would be surprised to be this excited to talk about sales and growth. But I am thrilled when we get to have growth strategists on the podcast. I mean, it's such a huge part of moving fintech forward and bringing financial services into the future. So, Sebastian, I'd like to start with a challenge. Give us your name, what you do, and why you do it.
I love it. And I used to work in brand strategy. So this is a question that I'm always ready for. My name is
Yes.
Sebastian Hidalgo. I am the VP of Sales at Durindal. I am the creator of the SWAT sales method that stands for Sales with Advanced Tactics. So I train people in sales and I advise companies on how to grow faster by closing deals quicker and by shortening sales cycles. Why I do it? I do it because sales is a noble profession that has been ruined by old school sales methodologies that don't work anymore. We have saturated markets. We have digitalization everywhere. AI is coming. We have hyper competitive markets where you are not selling just to the US if you're in the US or in Germany if you're in Germany. You are selling internationally and competing internationally, which means there is always a bigger fish in the pond and there is always somebody undercutting your price. Now, most sales methodologies do not account for that. Most sales methodologies don't account for the fact that most people cannot tell you how their business is different. We created the only one that brings those things together and allows you to position what you do live in sales calls, to shorten those sales cycles and build champions faster. That's why I do it.
That's fantastic. Before we dive into getting some of those insights and strategies, what were some of the major turning points that led you where you are today?
The turning points were starting to sell at 15, where I was selling translations from Italian to Spanish and vice versa, and from English to included in the three of languages, to immigrants in Italy. Those were the first thing I sold. I became certified in hostage negotiation when I was 18. And I went to university. I planned to get into politics. I didn't do it. So I transitioned into business. And years after transitioning into business, I've always been passionate about human psychology. And I crowned that passion by taking a very advanced training in psychological operations, which is something else I got access to through the same people who trained me in hostage negotiation. And the SWAT sales method came basically from me having an epiphany, from me telling myself that I was a bad salesperson, that I didn't know how to close, but nonetheless have been in business for years. That contradiction I never noticed until I enrolled for the training in psychological operations. And then I realized, wow, I actually have been selling for over a decade and never noticed. So the question became, how did I learn? How do I do it? And can I reverse engineer it to teach it to others? In reverse engineering my own sales approach, I created SWAT.
So what is psychological operations?
Psychological operations is a branch of the military that's tasked with influencing a target group. It could be a community, it could be a country, it could be a group of people, internally or internationally. The short word for psychological operations is psyops, and every conspiracy theorist out there knows what that means, and probably now looks at me with a lot of suspicion, thinking I'm a double agent or something, but I'm not. I'm just a sales guy. So, and that's what a double agent would say. Anyway, I'm a sales guy.
Yeah.
So that is psychological operations. And how does that tie back to sales? That ties back to sales insofar as, we keep having this distinction, B2B versus B2C. In reality, it's always people transacting.
Mm.
So in saturated markets where everybody gets pitched every day, where you get 1,000 emails per day, where you see pieces of advertising every minute, the only way to close the deal and to close them faster and for a higher price is to accelerate trust building. And if there is something that hostage negotiators and PSYOP specialists excel at, is earning trust and deploying influence.
Mm.
That's why my focus is on how do we become influential with our prospects in a short amount of time.
You know, this really resonates with me. How much control can you have over speeding up a process that requires somebody else to be mentally at the point where they're have their challenges at the forefront and are ready and are there with you? It's like it's more about how to bring people with you, right? And that's why it kind of differentiates between um, kind of the speed that it can go.
The harsh reality is as many email sequences that we want to delude ourselves that we can send, as many follow-ups and cold calls as we can put out. Reality is you have control of the sales process basically only when the person is in front of you, when there is in a call with you, when they are in a meeting with you.
Mm.
Why? Because once they exit that meeting, if you didn't do your job of influence properly, they will forget about you. They will come up with further objections. They will go internally, pitch the project to their boss and not know how to pitch it and still fail to get you that close. So the success you have in any sales interaction, even in multi-stakeholder cycles, which is what I help with in enterprise, depends on not only how excited the champion is to work with you,
Right.
but on how much you equip them with the ability to move things faster on your behalf. That's why you need influence. You need to be there while not being there. And this is what I will tell you. Salespeople who run still on like basic Sandler, Medpic, and bands, they don't get it. They don't understand influence. They know how to push buttons that look like influence. But
Right.
once the prospect walks out of that door or closes that meeting, is when the problems start. What we do with SWAT is preventing those problems from starting so that you can sell faster.
Well, let's dive into your sales methodology. The first thing I'd love to know is what do you think differentiates your approach from some of the traditional sales strategies?
On a surface layer, what differentiates it is the neuropsychology behind it,
Mm.
meaning the way we use the flow of the process and the structure of what we say to trigger psychological reactions, to trigger specific parts of the human brain. Sounds complicated, it isn't. You don't need a degree in neuroscience to do this. The real differentiator is failure mapping. Now, the SWOT sales method is trademarked, and failure mapping is a trademark within the trademark. Why? Because failure mapping is a structured process that allows us to enter into a realm that other sales methodologies don't cover. Meaning, you think about like Challenger and MedPick, everybody will tell you to identify the economic buyer and to dig into the alternatives they're considering.
Mm.
What they don't tell you is that human beings, you and I, we don't make decisions only based on the things we have available now. We make decisions based on the things that we have tried and failed at or succeeded at in the past.
Mm.
So that means that through failure mapping, you are able to uncover the things they failed at in the past and the things that they were succeeded at in the past. That way, by the time you pitch, your pitch is not some templated thing that you say to everybody, but your pitch becomes relevant to their past mistakes. It avoids everything they don't like, and it nails every single point of the things they told you they like. Now, how do you get them to tell you what they need and what they failed at? That's the trademark. That's the sauce that I cannot give away here.
Oh, fantastic. What is your primary goal with this new sales methodology?
On a personal level of my career is I want to spread the idea that sales is a noble profession. My personal goal with all of this is democratizing influence, allowing sales reps, allowing CEOs, allowing founders to feel influential and to exert that influence in sales calls to get results. Now, it has to be done in an ethical way. The SWOT sales method can be used for manipulation. So all my students know that the first thing we do is we never sell to somebody that doesn't need what we do. The mission of SWOT is to do to sales what Amazon did to commerce, which is we bring the focus back to the customer. We obsess over the customer on how we talk to them or what we have to say to them to benefit them. That's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is changing the landscape of sales and make it human centric. Why? Because it's great business to be influential. It makes a lot of money to be influential.
What does the customer need during a sales call in order to make a decision?
The customer comes into a sales call and they need guidance, but they don't know it. It's like a person that goes to a doctor with a stomach pain. They don't know if it's food poisoning. They don't know if it's diverticulitis. They don't know if it's colon cancer. The patient feels discomfort and goes to the doctor to find an answer. Now, the customer, the buyer enters a sales call with a discomfort that they blame things onto. It's like, oh yes, I have a lead generation problem. Most salespeople take that at face value and they will pitch, oh yes, we have lead generation services that help you do this and that. Okay, good, but you didn't uncover the real cause of the lead generation problem. You didn't dig into the things they're trying that are not working. You didn't dig into their frustrations. You didn't increase the scales. You didn't condense urgency into a way that they can feel compelled to buy now. And that's why you see people that delay. We'll circle back next quarter. It's not a priority right now. We don't have time.
Right. So if you've, as a salesperson, gotten to the point of the call where the potential customer has said, we're not quite ready for this. We don't have the budget for this. Is there still a way to turn it around, even though you've kind of failed getting up to that point?
You nail it, because if you get to that point, you failed at uncovering something. There are ways to turn it around, and it's the classic objection handling. We have several techniques for that. If somebody tells me we don't have budget for it yet, I would hit them with, it sounds like the value is not there for you.
Oh.
And I would drop the silence until they answer to me, because psychologically, we feel pressure when we hear silence. So that gets them to elaborate on their real objection. Because the thing that many people, especially non-sales people, don't understand is that the objection is not the objection. The objection is a smokescreen. It's something they tell you to get you out of the way, but in reality, they have another concern behind it. For example, the reason I mentioned value when they mentioned budget is because that is a value objection. It's like, we don't see a reason to invest in this. And it could be that you didn't frame the problem correctly. You didn't give them an ROI. You didn't raise the stakes. But if you drop that line, they are likely to tell you. If they tell me, we'll circle back next quarter, I will ask them, so what do you plan to do in the meantime that will get you similar results? There is one reality about sales that Chris Voss was great at articulating in Never Split the Difference, is that people suck at telling you what they need unless you question them properly. Now, this knowledge comes, ironically, from counterterrorism and interrogation studies, where researchers find out that when dealing with a person that was or is a threat, and you need to get information out of them to prevent further harm, it makes no sense to ask them close-ended questions, because close-ended questions like yes or no, they end the conversation. We ask open-ended questions and we adopt a frame of curiosity. We control the flow of the conversation until they give us the information that we need. Now, that is counterterrorism and intelligence. In sales, we question them until they themselves start reflecting on the things that are going wrong. If you do SWAT correctly, just the act of you having them think on their situation will trigger some urgency in them. Unless they have no urgency and they're in a call with you, wasting your time for curiosity. Happens a lot. Then that's where the experienced sales rep will be able to qualify or disqualify early.
One thing that I've heard a few years ago that really helped me, if you want somebody to have a good time, let them talk more. How does that simple tactic relate to sales?
It's never manipulation, by the way. When sales becomes manipulation, it is straight up unethical. And there should be legal ways to pursue that, because sales, meaning if you get a company to depart from millions of dollars for something they don't need, you should be to some extent held accountable. There should be an ethics code to sales. And the reason why we have this stereotype of the used car salesman is because the space is full of idiots who prioritize their pockets before they prioritize people without realizing that when you prioritize people, you actually fill your pocket.
Right.
But back to your question, the act, one of the basic toolkits of sales is the basic toolkit of clinical therapy and of hostage negotiation, which is active listening.
Mm-hmm.
We listen actively because when people, here's the thing, people tend to trust you more just by virtue of you asking them questions because they feel heard. They
Mm-hmm.
feel understood even without you saying a word. So they can keep talking about themselves and about what they're dealing with, and you will earn their trust. And if you guide them correctly, and that's where the salesperson has to be good. A sales interaction in SWAT is not a casual conversation. It feels like one by your guiding it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guide them correctly, they subconsciously assume that, okay, this person is asking all the right questions. They know what they're doing. Therefore, I trust them. Therefore, I can tell them things that I haven't told to other salespeople before, which for you on the other side makes it easier to collect all the information you need
Mm-hmm.
to make a diagnosis and give a prognosis like, hey, here's your solution, here's how much it costs. And there are ways to do that transition, but that's another topic.
Such interesting insight. I'd love to chat a little bit about how you see technology and AI supporting sales processes.
I love that you asked this because we have a partnership at Durindal. The partnership is with a platform called Dextego. Dextego is an AI sales coaching platform. The SWOT sales method is integrated in Dextego, and we launched a couple of weeks ago the Influence Core. The Influence Core lets you, besides the classic Dextego metrics that lets you see a dashboard of each sales rep and how coachable they are, how good they are at pitching a discovery or at cold calling. The
Mm-hmm.
Influence Score tells you how good they are at building influence and building authority. So we created, I think, is the first in-market way to measure influence in a sales context. Now, Dextego is not with you during the sales call. It is a preparation tool. You drill with it.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you do research. It helps you know your prospect better. So how do I see AI playing out in sales? There is a reason why all these sales SDR company, AI SDR companies out there that have been hyped have failed.
Mm-hmm.
People will not take cold calls from an AI. People will not sit in a sales call with an AI to buy. It's not going to happen. So AI cannot replace the sales rep, but it can power it.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, I think AI sales coaching and any tool that supports the salesperson in discovery and in preparation and in logging data into the CRM and creating automated offers, all those tools that allow the salesperson to focus on their craft, that's the future. And the reason we partnered up with Dextego is because it expands us as sales trainers. Meaning, usually if I walk into a corporation and I give them a training, they will forget about what I told them in 2 months. With Dextego, they can keep drilling. They can keep refreshing the knowledge. And that gives them a way to track results and gives me a way to keep the customer accountable. Hey, your sales training didn't work. Are you sure? Because I have the dashboards and you have the dashboards, and your sales reps haven't been implementing any of what we told them. Or on the contrary, it's like, hey, these were your dashboards at the beginning of our collaboration. After you implement the SWOT, you are doing 40% better across all metrics. It becomes quantifiable. It's no more a guessing game. It's not a feeling impressions, a close rate that is debatable how to calculate. It becomes data.
Mm-hmm. And as you're leading teams, what is something that you wish you could fix? If you could solve one thing today that would really move your team forward, what would that be?
There are two things actually. The first thing I would fix is the inability of most management teams to create the correct positioning for their companies, to create proper differentiation. But that's a hard fix. It requires a lot of trust and it requires months of work that very few companies, except the very top performers in each market, are willing to invest in and even understand the value of. So the second thing that I like to fix is cultural, and it is the misalignment and the rivalry between marketing and sales. You know, as my co-founder Gareth puts it in a wonderful military metaphor, is that marketing is like the recon team that goes out to the field, finds the important areas, the critical areas to tackle, while sales is the tactical team that comes in and deploys and launches the operation and takes home the result on those tactical areas. Sales and marketing, we keep seeing them as two separate functions in two separate departments. They are one and the same because they should be under the revenue team.
Yep.
It baffles me that we have the chief revenue officer, and under that person, there is a sales team and a marketing team. It makes no sense. If there is a chief revenue officer, there should be a revenue team.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing that's fixable. It is even an easy fix, by the way. We have a process for fixing that culturally. But it takes courage for a company to fix that. But if they do, they unlock levels of growth that they didn't have before. Because everybody starts working like an orchestra and it stops being a bar fight. Like, oh, yes, it stops being finger pointing. There's a lot of finger pointing between marketing and sales that shouldn't be happening.
Right.
It's kind of some sort of syndrome we have in B2B, meaning marketing accepted these roles of the arts and craft departments, and sales accepted their role as the only ones that bring home results. Whereas, you know, marketers should be sitting in sales calls once a week. The sales team should be using tools like Fireflies, Gong, and Fathom to record sales interactions, log pain points, and send those pain points to marketing so they can create the content that actually delivers results. That's how it should work. Marketing should be sending sales out to relevant events based on what sales found out, based on market research that marketing conducted. It's not rocket science. It just takes a little bit of courage and willingness to do business.
And to close out today, this has been absolutely brilliant. Do you have any closing remarks that you would love for people to take away from today?
Final message for me is it is good money to do good. So sell ethically. And if you want a tactical tip, it's start every day in your sales team by reading customer testimonials to your sales reps. Have them read it, have them feel part of the customer experience. Do that for 30 days and watch them being more confident in what they sell, more persuasive, and therefore more influential.